Andy, and he's going to be giving us an overview of the engine room and kind of how that all works down there. It gets very hot and loud down there, so we're recording up top right now.
It sure is, because we're not a museum. You know, we're a working steamboat. Even though we could be a museum, she's still in revenue service, and everything is operating. It's hot, it's noisy, and as it should be. So when we go downstairs, we're going to take a look through the Badger's engine room. For the most part, it's all original machinery back from 1953, still in service. The highlight of it is going to be our two main engines, Badger's twin screw boat, so two propellers, two engines. These were built by the Skinner Engine Company in Erie, Pennsylvania, back in 1953. They are the pinnacle of development of reciprocating steam engines. After these were built, basically the technology moved on to steam turbines and later diesels. So this was the end of the evolutionary tree for reciprocating steam. These are four-cylinder, well, we'll call them four-cylinder, steeple compound engines. So each engine, they're mirror images of each other. So, you know, when we go downstairs, we'll look through one and kind of talk about it a little bit. But they're a steeple compound, so that means there's a high pressure and a low pressure cylinder that are stacked on top of each other on each throw in the crankshaft, which is kind of unique in engine construction. Steam is made out in our boilers. We've got 4 coal-fired Foster Wheeler D-type marine boilers. They make steam at 440 pounds, superheated to about 700 degrees Fahrenheit. That comes in, and then each engine uses that steam twice, because it's a compound engine. So steam comes in and is admitted underneath our high-pressure piston. The high-pressure pistons are 22.5 inches in diameter, so good size. And that steam pushes that piston up to the top of its stroke, and then that same charge of steam goes down on top of the low-pressure piston next, and pushes down. That piston is 56 inches in diameter, so that's the size of a kitchen table. A good size, right? If you think of an automotive engine, most pistons are about 4 or 5 inches in diameter, so 56, that's good size. So each combination of pistons, the high pressure and low pressure, gets a power stroke up and down. There's 4 sets of these on each engine, or 4 cylinder. So that's 8 power strokes per revolution. At full speed, we're doing 95 RPM. Each engine makes 3,500 horsepower. So between the two of them, we're 7,000 horse combined.
So these are still the original engine system from when it was first built. Have they ever had to be replaced?
No, absolutely. It's all original, just as it was, and it's controlled the same way. So I'm sure early on Joe talked a little bit about engine order telegraphs and how that works up in the pilot house. We'll take a look at the engine controls downstairs. We'll see the engine order telegraphs in the engine room and the throttles that we have downstairs. So the captain likes to think that he's commanding the boat and he's giving orders, but actual control over the engines is in the engine room. They're run locally. So the telegraphs are a communications tool to signal between the captain in the pilot house and the engine room and say, hey, look, I want you to go half ahead or slow astern. And then we run the engines under local control to make them do what the captain's ordering. So we'll take a look at how all that stuff works. That's all straight from 1953. We still use it at every arrival and departure.
Perfect. What is the difference in temperature typically between the engine room and the rest of the ship? How hot does it get down?
Well, it's pretty nice today. I think we're around 96, 97 degrees down by our control platform anyway. The upper deck's a little warmer, probably in the 130s, 140s. I think the hottest I've seen, we had about 190.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, there's certainly areas that are warmer and cooler, and the crew learns real quick where to hang out.
Yeah.
But you know, in addition to the engines, we've got basically everything aboard is steam driven, one way or the other. We've got a lot of steam driven pumps. You know, whether it's ballast pumps or fire pumps, circulating water pumps for the condensers. We've also got Our electricity is made by steam-driven turbo generators. So we've got 2 of those making all the power. So even if it's electrically driven equipment, or even the Wi-Fi and the TVs upstairs, that all comes from electricity made by steam-driven equipment and coal-fired boilers. So we oversee all of that. We maintain it, operate it, and keep everything.
How big is your crew down in the engine room typically? How many people?
So each watch, we work a watch schedule, so that's 4 hours on, 8 hours off. Each watch has 4 people. So there's an assistant engineer, he's in charge. There's an oiler, he's the engineer's right-hand man. He's making rounds and watching over the engine room machinery, checking bearings and temperatures and recording pressures. Then we've got out in the boiler room, there's a fireman and a coal passer, and they work together as a team to operate the boilers, make sure coal is getting where it needs to go, steam pressure is kept where it's supposed to be, and also deal with coal ash and keeping everything clean and tidy and operating decent out there. So it's a crew of 4. Like I said, there's 3 watches. So in total, that's 12 people that are on watch. We carry 2 chief engineers in rotation. So I'm on today. And we're on call 24/7. We're the captain of the engine room, so to speak. We're down for all arrival and departures. We are on call in the event that anything goes wrong, and generally overseeing the operation. Then we've got a couple people that are on days. We've got 2 junior engineers. They are in charge of everything topside, so that's all your maintenance, like staterooms. If you're got a running sink or something's wrong with the soda machine or an ice maker, they're dealing with all that stuff upstairs. And then there's a wiper who's responsible for cleaning and upkeep. So altogether, it's a decent group of people, and maintaining and keeping her going.
Sounds good. Well, we can go take a look downstairs if you want then.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's go take a look.
Perfect.
So here we are, Badger's engine room. The main event, of course, is the 2 Skinner Uniflow engines. There's our port engine and our starboard engine over there. They're 2 stories tall. So this is the upper level. They extend all the way down to the bottom of the boat. As we were talking about before, they're called a steeple compound engine, so steam comes in. When the valve opens, steam is admitted underneath the high pressure piston, driving it up to the top of its stroke. And then from there, this valve opens and dumps that same charge of steam down on top of the low pressure, where it continues to expand and exhaust out at the bottom of its stroke. So 2 power strokes per revolution per pair of cylinders, 4 pairs of cylinders per engine. That's 8 power strokes per revolution. 2 engines, each engine is 3,500 horse, 7,000 horse total. Each engine is direct coupled to a 13-foot, 10-inch diameter propeller. There's no clutches, there's no reduction gear. Whatever the engine's turning, that's what the propeller's turning. Full speed for us is 95 RPM. That's what we're doing right now.
What are all the protective coverings?
So within a steam engine, part of the goal is to keep the heat in. So these are blankets that enclose the engine to keep the heat in, because we want that to do work and not warm the engine room any further. Originally, the engines were enclosed in a stainless steel shrouding and came up, and this whole thing was enclosed. The railroad removed that in the 1960s, probably for ease of working on it. The rest of this whole gray box, this is our switchboard. So we've got our generator controls and power distribution through the boat. This is your chance to hide if you want. All right, so you're going to want to stand here. There you go. No, this is our version of a control room. So this is the operating platform. From here, the watch, you keep an eye over the machinery. If you stand actually this way and look here, this is basically original to what it looked like in 1953. It's the original gauge board. Very little here has changed. So from standing here, the engineers can watch over the plant. We see what our steam pressure is. When our steam pressure is past the throttle valve going to the engine. These are condensing engines, so unlike a railway locomotive where steam goes up the smokestack and is lost, our exhaust gets condensed, turned back into water, and sent back to the boiler. It's a closed loop in the steam cycle. So one of the important things there is watching our vacuum and our condensers. So that's this gauge. And then we got our oil pressure going to the engines. Tachometers, condensate pumps, and of course how long it is until break. That's the most important thing up there, I think. Then we've got our engine order telegraphs. So I'm sure they talked to the pilot house a little bit about how the captain signals up top. This is the engine room side of things. So when we departed this morning, the captain worked his way from stop up to full ahead. As he increased speed, he would move his handle up to the next spot. They slow ahead or half ahead. When he moves his handle, the little black arrow moves down here and bell rings. It says, hey, we want to do something different with the engines. We match the signal with our handle. That just tells the captain, hey, we got the message. But it doesn't actually change anything. It's now up to the engine room, the watch engineers, to make the engines and propellers do what's being requested. So slow ahead or astern is 50 RPM, half is 75, 3/4 is 85, and full is 95 in either direction. We make that happen with these three levers. So these are the controls for our starboard engine. The long lever is the steam throttle. Right now we're at full speed, wide open, but anywhere from closed to open. The other two levers control valve timing. The skidders have an infinitely variable valve timing. So if we want the engine to run faster, I can hold the admission valves open longer, more steam goes in and the engine speeds up. Likewise, if I want to slow down, I can cut it back some. These engines don't have any clutches. There's no gearbox, and the propellers are fixed pitch. So how do you go backwards? When you're coming into port, you want to change direction. We adjust the valve timing in such a way that it reverses the firing order of the cylinders. And we can go from half ahead to half astern in about 2 or 3 seconds. So they're very responsive, very maneuverable engines, and that's part of why they were chosen for this boat. So when we're maneuvering, coming in and out of the port, the assistant engineer runs the starboard engine. Usually the chief engineer runs the port engine, and the oiler answers the telegraphs. So we work together as a team to make the boat do what she needs to do to get safely to the dock. We've got a bunch of other steam-driven equipment. This is our general service pump. So it's a duplex steam-driven pump. They're pretty rare to have in operation these days, so another cool piece of equipment on board. Boiler and feed water pumps, again, steam driven. We got a steam driven fire pump. So a lot of people don't think about it, but as soon as you leave the dock, basically everything you would have, every service you would have tied up at your house, we have to make ourselves. So rather that's drinking water, we've got to have tanks and pumps to supply that, or water to flush your toilet. Certainly want that to happen, and you want that to go somewhere when you make that happen, right? So that's us. We have a whole system in place. But also things like emergency services. If, God forbid, there was a fire or an emergency, there's no fire department to call. We are the fire department, so our crew is trained in basic firefighting. We've got bunker gear, fire suits and SCBAs for air masks and such, and our own firefighting pumps and equipment throughout the boat. So we're also trained in beyond that, also first aid, basic stuff, CPR. I'm not saying we're going to take your appendix out, mid-trip, but we should be able to keep you around until we get to somewhere where somebody can. As we continue on, one of the cool things to see, the skidders have windows into the crankcase. So here you can see our #1 piston on our port engine, or the connecting rod on our port engine going around to the crankshaft. And we can keep an eye on things and make sure that the bottom end of the engine is in good order.
Very cool.
Over here we've got a condenser, circulating water pump down below. That's this big green pump. So if you're ever looking outside, about midship, there's a whole bunch of water coming overboard. That's coming from this pump. Basically, we're drawing lake water from the bottom of the boat, pumping it through the condenser, where it cools the exhaust steam off. They don't mix, they're just kept separate. And then the lake water, which is just a little bit warmer after cooling the exhaust off, goes overboard. But equivalent to a radiator on your car. It's cooling the exhaust steam off. So we've got 2 generators down here for making power. This one's shut down right now. The other side's running, but they're identical units. These were built by Worthington. They're 500 kW. 240 volt three-phase AC. So each one's big enough to power a couple city blocks anyway. They put out a good amount of juice. Of course, we've got all the other pumps to keep the boat running. We've got oil pumps here for the main engines. Drinking water pumps. So when you're thirsty, you've got something to turn that tap on, you've got something coming out. Big cooling water pump. And our ballast pump.
Water running through a lot of these things here. That's meant to be that way with the water all around.
Yep, that's normal. That's what we call a sounding tube. So that's a water tank in the bottom of the boat. It's full right now. So all this stuff, there's very little automation, right? It's all hand operated. Pressures are adjusted manually. The oil temperatures and such are adjusted. The oilers come around, they read the gauges, they say, hey, it's running a little warm or it's a little cool. They open valves to adjust things. A modern boat, most of that stuff would all be automated, but not in 1953. We still do things all old school. It relies on people paying attention and knowing what they're doing. This is the noisy generator that's making probably most of the noise down here. Anyway, also all of the power for everything aboard right now. So if your Wi-Fi is working, it's because we've got coal being burned in a furnace to make steam. Turn the turbine, turn the generator. So almost everything on Badger is redundant. There's two of almost everything. This is our starboard side of the boat, starboard engine, starboard condenser, and starboard circ pump. We saw the port side earlier. We've also got two more additional boiler feed water pumps and an additional fire pump. So in the event that anything goes wrong, we always have backup equipment. Either another pump or a crossover to something else. Everything is very redundant and very reliable in that regard. You guys want to go out and take a look at the boiler room?
Absolutely.
Just watch your head step through here. So Badger is subdivided into a variety of watertight compartments. We just stepped through the watertight bulkhead between the engine room and the boiler room. In an emergency, we can close the watertight door, and that will separate the two spaces. But normally we keep it open. So we're walking around here into what really is the heart of the ship. The engines are the fun thing everybody wants to talk about, but they don't work without steam. And out here in our boiler room, where we make all that happen. This is truly the heart of the boat. So we have 4 coal-fired boilers. They were built by Monster Wheeler. They're a D-type water tube marine boiler. How they're working, coal comes in from a bunker, which is ahead of us, and gets transferred up these 2 hoppers overhead. That's the station float here, it's all full of coal. By gravity, that coal comes down these chutes. Comes down those chutes into what we call stokers. Each boiler has 2 stokers, and these are metering out the right amount of coal to go into the fire to keep the steam pressure where it needs to be. We have an automated system that watches the steam pressure, and if the pressure starts to fall off, it puts more coal in. It also speeds up the air fans to make sure that the combustion is proper, got enough air to burn clean. Likewise, if the pressure starts going up, it slows down the stokers a little bit. So these guys are metering out that coal and dropping it into the furnace.
That's amazing. Wow.
A lot of heat.
Yeah.
So there, the coal is laying on top of a grate. Air from the fan blows up through the aspen below and up through the grate. You can see little columns of flame rising up. That's because of the air blowing in from below. All of that fire, all that heat, then goes through a range of tubes. There are 1,200 inch-and-a-half boiler tubes that are full of water. And as that hot gas passes between them, heat gets absorbed by the water, causing it to boil. Steam that's generated rises up to the top, collects a steam drum. There, that comes out and gets heated and sent out to the engine. Each boiler is making about 14,000 pounds of steam per hour.
That's fascinating. Wow.
Out here, there's a fireman and a coal passer. They work together to oversee this to the point. I'm particularly always excited to talk about our firemen. It's such a cool thing. It's so unique in what we do. We go on a hence. There's other steamboats left that are oil fired in there, engineers and oilers. But firemen is unique to Badger. Back when she was built in '53, figure that most steamboats, all the railway locomotives, most factories had their own powerhouse. They're all coal-fired, and then all had firemen and coal masters. This is a normal job to have, right? You can be a fireman on a railroad, you can be a fireman in a factory. All that's gone. Everywhere. This is gone. Sure, there's a handful of railway locomotives. The 1225 operates for lots of Michigan. That would be my example, right? This coal-fired locomotive. But, and hats off to those guys for keeping that alive, but it's volunteer, right? Yeah, you've got guys who volunteer to go out and do that, to keep going, play firemen on the weekend, and keep going through church, and that is awesome. But it's not their day-to-day job. Here on Badger, we've got 3 firemen that this is their 9 to 5. If I stop paying them tomorrow, they're probably not going to show up. They're not doing this as a hobby. This is their 9 to 5 job, just as it was in 1953. And I think that's really cool that we keep that alive. So that's a trade and a skill that's passed out year to year, generation of firemen, generation of firemen. And every time they get something new, they've got to learn how this works, how to be a fireman on a coal-fired boat. Not just as a hobby, and not just when things are going right, but on a day-to-day, hey, we're sailing at 9 and we need to have this ready to go. This is the job. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's such a unique thing. It's really cool to learn about that.
Yeah. So firemen do a lot of cool things. They have a hard job. Right now it's an easy part of their day, and it's going to hit the break, but they'll have to go in and manipulate these fires. This rack here, got all these big holes. This is what they'll use to adjust the fire. So the fireman will go take a hole like this. Manipulate the fire, rather stirring it up, making sure you don't have fingers, ash building up where it's not free. And speaking of ash, every so often you gotta clean that ash out, because like any fire, like a campfire at home, and you burn the wood, you always got a little bit of ash on the fire pit at the end. Same thing with us. Very cold in the boiler, but there's always some left at the end. So about every 6 hours, they go, they'll shut down half the boiler at a time. So one stoker will shut off, they'll let the fire burn out. They'll dump the ash down to the ash pit below, and then they'll use these big hoses, pull all the ash out of the boiler, and put it through a conveyor system here, where it goes up into bins and into the store at Ludington. So it gets to be a labor-intensive job.
These ones are off right now then?
Right, so we have 4 boilers, but we only run 3 at a time.
Okay.
Back in the railroad days, Badger ran year-round. They broke ice in the winter, and they pushed the boat a lot harder. We could run all 4, and there's no reason we can't. We just burn more fuel, so it's economical to run 3. So this boiler right now is shut down. It's in standby. If we had an issue somewhere else, we could light it up and do it online. Because it's off, you can take a look inside. You can see the grains. Inside of the firebox, if you look over to the right, you can see all the tubes. Those are full of water, and that's what's making all the steam. All that heat going through that little scoop, spots some water inside the boil. Make the steam to make smoke go. Upper deck right above us is where it gets so hot.
Okay.
Top deck of the boiler room is probably like 170 right now.
Like a sauna.
You can go up there if you want.
Well, I'm good.
There's not much to see other than the summer. People don't realize when you come on that when you look at the car deck, how big it is. There's actually 2 more stories down below, right? That draws about 18 feet of water. So you've got 2 whole decks, so all that machinery is crammed below this car deck.
Yeah, there's a whole hidden operation underneath there.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. This is fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.